What's going on, guys? Welcome to another live stream. Your boy Phrankleen. If you're watching these as a playback, thank you for stopping by. If this is your first time on my channel, don't forget to hit the like button. Feel free to look through the playlists for more episodes on the segment called Say It Like It Is. Okay, so people bang out their stories to foodchannel1960 at gmail.com. If I like them, I can use them in form of a pre-recorded content or live stream like this one, all right? Let's see who is online. What's up, man? What's going on, man? What's up, Rotimi? Annie's Platter. Miss C's Hope TV. Hit the like button. Rita. Yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. House of Coffee. What's going on, people? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Thank you for stopping by. So, I'm good, thank you, man. I'm good. I'm all right. Have you seen the Phrankleen merch? The Phrankleen merch. If you look beneath the video, you can always buy my merch. Pricey, what's up? You can always buy the merch to support the channel. Hoodie, you're in the middle of winter now. All right, you can buy the t-shirts. Really nice merch, man. Go check out my merch, man. What's up, Sugar Walls? Enjoying your show from Vienna. Anyway, let's crack on. So, this is House of Coffee. Rotimi, what's up, bruh? Thank you for the super chat, man. So, this basically is a story from one of my viewers, all right? Bijo Noah, hit the like button, family. What's up, my sister? I see you, man. Thank you for constantly supporting Phrankleen. Yoan Day, my person, Mirabella. So, yeah, let me crack on. So this story is basically from one of my viewers, and they wanted me to do the story, hoping that people would be able to, learn from it. Pretty much a kind of story that, very common in our community, but it's an interesting one. All right. I like the way this person has sent me their story. They gave me bullet points. It's not one of those ones like 120 paragraphs. Not that I'm complaining, but this person, I suspect, works in a corporate environment. They just kept it really simple for me. So anyway, this one, I prioritized my US papers over her love, and this happened, all right? By the way, if you're watching me, feel free to send me your stories to foodchannel1960 at gmail.com. Look in the description below for my email. Send me your stories. I want to hear from you, all right? So, this is the story. Said, this brother... Now, before I crack on, let me give you a disclaimer. It's very important that I do this, okay? I am not using my platform to condone or suggest any form of immigration breach or immigration violations, all right? This is story time with Phrankleen, whereby people send me their stories, and I'm within my rights to read them out and give my own interpretations, all right? It's just advice. You don't have to take it. Does that make sense? So I'm not asking anyone to break the rules. If you want to travel, hopefully you do it properly. If you want to migrate to the States or the UK or anywhere, do it properly, all right? So, says this Nigerian brother in the USA went to the USA for his master's degree. So he met these Nigerian American lady, right? And, boy meet girl type of story. They started dating. 6 months into the relationship, the dude opens up to the girl and says he loves her, he professed his love and stuff. Says he loves her and they should get married so he can secure his papers in a legit manner, not in a sham marriage type of way. He loves her, and he said, you know, they should get married so he could sort his papers out. And it's normal, right? Absolutely normal. I don't think loving someone or wanting to amalgamate your emotions with someone is the problem. But because these stories, there's like a gazillion of this type of toxic occurrences where people get used and to smash the woman's heart to smithereens, and sometimes it's vice versa and stuff like that. So people are always skeptical. So it goes on to say the lady was skeptical, right? She thinks that the boy wants to use her for only papers, right? So she didn't agree. She told him they can either continue dating for an extra year or remain friends. Right. So the dude, he really loves her. Then he carries on dating. He didn't push any further. He claims to love her. He carries on dating the lady, right? And then a month later, the brother, don't forget, the brother has a need. It's a genuine need. Before I carry on reading the story, it's a genuine need to adjust his status in the United States of America. That's a fact. Now, he told the lady kind of pulled back, skeptical, right? A bit apprehensive, which is understandable. But that's not going to stop the brother, is it? They carried on dating. In the course of carrying on dating, you bond, the emotions, get heightened, level of interest, level of affection grow a lot more. It's only natural, right? So a month later, an opportunity for the brother to tap into an arranged marriage presented itself, and he took that opportunity. Arranged marriage is what's regarded by, sham marriage. So whilst he was still dating this lady, right? He had no choice than to do it in secret to get his papers. His girlfriend was unaware. He didn't tell her. He didn't discuss this with her, right? Because I suspect, and I'm not speaking for this person, but I'm just following that story. If he had told her, these type of decisions are very precious to people. If he had told her, she might turn around to say, oh, he's pressurizing her, he's putting pressure on her, or he's just trying to emotionally blackmail her into marrying him, right? So he carried on dating her. He kept it to himself. And sometimes also telling people might make everything go bananas, right? So he didn't tell her. He had no choice than to do it in secret to get his papers. The girl was unaware. A year and a half into the relationship, girl now knows that the lady now knows that the dude truly loves her. And a year and a half later, the lady's now ready for marriage. All right? Now, however, the dude is legally married to the lady in the arranged marriage, right? Based on papers. The girl is furious and doesn't believe. So where the bone of contention is, eventually he had to tell her. So now the palaver came from the girl is very angry. She's furious, understandably so, and doesn't believe the paper marriage is an arrangement. She thinks the dude is legit married to the other lady, and just hid it from her. She has heard about Yoruba demons. That's like a Yoruba demons. If you're watching this, you're not Nigerian. It's like a slang that's coined out of basically that suggests that Yoruba men are quite promiscuous and all that stuff. But it's a joke anyway, Yoruba demon. So anyway, the dude tries to explain, tried his best to explain, But the lady wasn't having it. You know, she got really emotional, got very angry. This person claims that she's too Americanized to understand these things. Now, the boy is skeptical and he only has a little over 1 year with in the arranged marriage for him to become an American citizen. So with how his girlfriend had been behaving, he didn't trust her to go, the distance, prefers to see the arranged marriage through till he secures his American citizenship before proposing to his legit girlfriend. It's funny how the girl is now the one impatient and saying she can't wait. Just a year ago, it was the boy who was pushing to get married. Anyway, what will you suggest the boy does? Should he divorce the lady in the arranged marriage and marry his girl legitimately, or what? So, just to give you a quick recap. Basically, boy meets girl, right? And to give you a quick recap for those that have just joined, boy met girl, they liked each other. So the brother had gone to the States for his master's degree. He met this lady, there was a bit of a chemistry. They started dating and all that stuff. He approached her and said, I like you, I'm in love with you. I would love us to get married. In the process, it would also help me regularize my status, sort out my immigration status. Now, the lady pulled back and was skeptical, right? Was a bit apprehensive about the whole idea because as soon as perhaps she would have said yes if the brother had no, issues around papers, right? But the lady was skeptical and she said, she still wanted to carry on dating, for some time and all that stuff. But the brother, because he has the need, he has a personal justification to sort himself out. I don't know how serious things are for him or were for him. I don't know what level of complexity was involved in his status in the in the United States. But he then took a sharp left and found someone else and went to indulge in an arranged marriage. To regularize his status. He kept it to himself, didn't tell the lady, and eventually, like a year and a half later, lady then proposed that, okay, maybe she felt a lot comfortable with him now, and then said, okay, let's settle down. By that time, he's already involved with the woman in the arranged marriage. He told her that, listen, maybe, of course, legally, I can't marry you right now because I'm involved with such and such person for XYZ reasons. So she didn't believe him, understandably so. Emotions flying like furniture everywhere, got animated and said, she felt like maybe he was actually married to that so-called woman in the arranged marriage and had just basically kept it from her for so long. So this person's asking me, what would you do? What would you advise the brother? So this is it. Let's cut the chase, right? Like I said, I'm just going to give my views. But I repeat my disclaimer. I'm not here encouraging you to do anything unscrupulous to circumvent, immigration process in whatever country you find yourself. But for the purposes of this story time, right, I'll share my views. You cannot knock someone for wanting to regularize their status because, number one, living in the shadow of the system abroad, in whatever country you find yourself in the West, is not a joke, okay? How you got there, maybe you made a very nasty decision. That's a different conversation now. But if you haven't got papers, your legs are not balanced, you're living in the shadow of the system, trust me, man, you're constantly looking over your shoulders. It's absolutely impossible for you to be able to effectively navigate through the system of that country. So one should understand why any sensible person would want to regularize their status. It's not unusual, and there's nothing abnormal about that. But the big but is There are extensive evidences whereby people, in the name of wanting to regularize their status, are ready to lie to anybody and anybody's mama just so they get what they want. There are extensive evidences in that regard within the immigrant community. So I can understand if you meet someone and then you're dating them, they like you, they genuinely do, but as soon as the conversation progresses to them getting to know that maybe you've got a bit of complexity with your status, or even if it's a man, people get a bit apprehensive. Because of all these ugly stories and experiences that have happened to plethora of people, right? So, because how do I know that you're not just trying to use me as a stepping stone to get to where you want to get to, and then as soon as you get your papers, you're free within the Western community now, you might be able to just bounce and dump me. And most of the time, the truth be told, it's a lot worse for women in the sense that it's very, very easy for a woman to fall in love with a guy and accept you into her heart, and then before you know, you get her pregnant, one or two kids involved, and then the dude gets the papers and he bounces. That happens a lot. So, like I said, it's not gender specific, but in terms of who takes more heat, it's the women. That's a fact. So, but in this brother's case, he had gone to make a personal decision, and lady's now angry, and he's trying to see the rest of the time through so he can apply for his U.S. citizenship. Lady is angry, so this is my point. You can't beat him over that. If by looking at his decision that he's gone to marry someone else so he could sort his papers out, maybe you're finding it hard to believe him. I like to simplify this. Leave him alone and move on, man. You dig? Just leave him alone and move on. You know, it's it's hard enough, man. I mean, this is a story that I don't know this person. This story was sent to me, but at the same time, I'm trying to be as balanced as possible about this. Okay, somebody would always, the way we are in the immigrant community. Let me emphasize on this. Most of the time, when you come abroad and you find yourself as an immigrant in the Western system, people enjoy a lot more smooth sailing in terms of adjusting their status. I mean, of course, it depends on the level of complexity involved in your background, but you enjoy a lot more smooth sailing when you join with someone else in terms of marriage. Do you know what I mean? So, but of course, I would push for, if it's a legit, marriage, genuine relationship. Because if you're a guy, you've come abroad to do this and this, to walk the road alone by yourself, if it's not like, oh, you've got some top level professional skills, and that, the company know that you're one of a kind, they need your talent, a major organization is ready to sponsor you, and then within a few years you become a permanent resident, the number of people at that level is very minute. For the wider immigrant community, as a lot of you would appreciate, the journey to balance your legs in the Western society, like for example in the UK, is crazy. So like I would say, man, you can't knock a man for wanting to sort his life out. You know, Appleweed Corporation, thank you for the super chat. You can't knock a man, man. So I won't bit the brother down, man, for he has to sort himself out. But if you think that him, let's look at it this way. Everyone has got the right to tick whatever boxes of, what they want, and in terms of morality and what you find acceptable or not. If maybe who you are, if you don't find it acceptable that the guy has gone to marry someone to sort himself out, then go be with someone else then. There's no need to, beat the brother up. You dig? The journey, the immigration journey is absolutely nuts, within the immigrant community, and it's the Western system, the way they've made it. So if you Can't deal with him? Leave him alone. Go find someone else. And if you believe that maybe he's pounding the other woman to dust, then go find someone else. But if there is no evidence, like me, I asked the person to send me this. Do you have evidence? Because there are some cases that I've heard whereby an arranged marriage is meant to be like strictly business, right? Even though it's unlawful. But then, depending on who and who are involved, down the line, people catch feelings. Down the line, feelings just spark up. And sometimes somebody might be doing something contractually and then they just find out that, hey man, do you want to go grab a cup of tea? Let me make you fix you a plate of food. You watch a movie together, something leads to something, and they start dating. Those things do happen. And some people, it's crazy though. There are some women, she might have agreed to a contractual agreement in terms of the marriage, yeah? Then she fancies you, the dude, and then they use that as a honey trap. They suck you monetarily, and then they also take sexual advantage of the whole situation. And people would find justification that, oh, so my papers can come out. So it's there's a bit of a web. It's crazy, you know? So I don't know, man. I can't knock the brother, man. I'm always very careful in terms of my comments around, people's immigration journey. I'm not in their shoes. I can't, make decisions for them. It's easy to sit back and talk, but I can't really knock people. You got to be careful, you know what I mean? So sometimes some people are backed into a tight corner. They haven't got choices. They have to sort themselves out. Yeah, they set honey traps, man. And you have to basically provide adequate service to the woman's sugar woes as often as it's required. And yeah, especially if it's bang in the middle of winter. It's a bit of a difficult one, isn't it? So, people are caught in that web of entanglement. So, there's nothing you can do about it, man. There's nothing you can do about it, man. Bang in the middle of winter, man. My goodness. You know what I mean? What would you do differently if you're a woman? Let me see some of your comments online, man. But you can't be too hard on why the girl held back. No. Len Lu, thank you, Len Lu, for the super chat, man. Let me see, Clara. But you can't be too hard on why the girl held back. Lots of horror stories out there. Quite often, people just get used for papers and dumped. It's not a good feeling. You know what, Clara? You are absolutely right, 100%. Okay? I said it earlier. I can't knock anyone for being, apprehensive. I remember I have a friend. This was a while back. He's all right now. He's a British citizen now. But I remember years ago, he met this lady, I think a local library, and they connected and stuff, and she liked him, right? They started dating and all that, and it was great. It was going on well. And eventually, conversation led to the point, like, lady asked questions about his status and all that stuff. It's understandable, right? And then he told her about him having a bit of complexity with his immigration status, right? At this point, they were like 7-8 months into the relationship, and the lady actually offered that, look, man, my views on life are different, right? I don't mind. There are people that are both British citizens, and if the guy is going to let the woman down, or if the woman is going to let the man down, they will still let them down anyway. So I don't mind as long as you keep it real with me. So the point I'm making is, the woman was prepared to go all the way. But check this. So she went home to mom and dad. Dad, my boyfriend blah, de, blah, de, blah, X, Y, Z, right? Parents were like, okay, yeah. His papers, his immigration status, blah, blah, blah. I want to sort him out, this and this and this. The parents went ballistic. They went absolutely nuts. Her parents were not having it. They gave every reason in the book to try to dissuade her that the guy is only interested in using you to regularize. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword, this one. You can't exactly condemn the parents for being apprehensive because why? If the lady did get let down, she's going to come back crying for them to pick up the pieces, right? But they went hard on my friend. I remember this. They went hard. The girl's dad didn't want to even see the guy anymore from that point, and he was like, "Oh, hang on." It would appear that this guy just basically wants to use you for his own selfish gain, blah, 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 blah. And the girl's dad banned him from coming to their house. Now, watch this. It nearly left a crack in their relationship because she had a boyfriend, and then the parents, you don't want to disregard your parents, and even her sisters, extended people heard about it. Be careful, don't let this guy use you for papers. Yeah. But eventually, she kind of pulled away from him, and I think at some point she followed her heart, her mind, and she carried on, got married to him, went to the registry, genuinely got married, and she got pregnant. She defied her parents. It was a lot of pressure, right? And the only thing that girl had left was, if this should go wrong, there was no family for her to go back to. Now, over time, she helped my friend. I mean, they're happily married now with 3 wonderful children, right? This is years back. And they're happily married. They have a great relationship, a great marriage. My point is, eventually, her parents, they came around. And I think what happened was, she got pregnant. They were not having anything to do with them. But when she had a baby, the parents couldn't do anything. They had to go to the hospital. So that kind of brought the family back together. And then over time, they realized, okay, he's a good guy, So all the fears were set aside. So it was never, and nobody has ever disrespected him or tried to say, oh, my daughter gave you papers type of thing. Having said that, there are numerous terrible stories where some women and some dudes would genuinely decide to help someone because they fell in love with them, and the person that helped, don't get me wrong, relationships can hit the rocks for numerous reasons, but there's been cases whereby it became bloody obvious that the person only used the partner for papers. Maybe down the line, you then uncover the fact that, oh, that person has wife and 3 kids back in Africa, or maybe they were living in London or they were living in Leeds, and then you realize that they had another baby mama in Dublin or something like that, or in Birmingham. They already had 2 babies and they never told you, and they were just jumping from pillar to post to try to get their papers. But my closing remark will be, you know what, man? You can't knock people for being apprehensive, but I hope that we as a community of people, black folks, that we can get to a point, God knows, in the not so distant future, whereby love rules, because I always say we are our best resources, that people will stop being selfish and stop being wicked. And I suppose it's human nature, whereby we can be a lot more accommodating of ourselves rather than weaponizing someone else's vulnerability, because it's not fair though. And I can understand. I've seen people on the receiving end. It can be emotionally sabotaging and emotionally destructive, where within the two shakes of a duck still you start a conversation and people already have a stereotypically generated perception of you. They have a preconceived notion, and before you say something, oh, they just say, oh yeah, it's because, oh, this guy's just trying to use you to get papers, or that lady's just trying to get papers. We don't know, but God since said my ex-wife used me for papers. Wow, that's crazy, man. You know, uh, some people, because of that, they end up chasing away good men or good women that they could have settled down with. That's all I'm saying, you know. But with his brother's case, I can't knock him, man. If you like him, if you love him, if he's being honest, wait for him to shut down the other relationship, provided there's no there isn't any sexual parts to the whole thing, right? But how do we know though? So what do you think? What would you do different? Let me see some of your comments. Fact, I tried to save a friend, but she didn't listen. Ah, T. Kelly. So your friend got burnt. Let's see, man. That right there is what make many to call immigration for you. Yeah. Because, you know, the moment a woman or somebody or a man realizes that they've been used, they become vindictive and they will carry out retaliatory action to make sure they sabotage you on your papers, man. I would wait for him until he gets his paper and see if he still loves her. Well, he claims to. It's a 50-50 thing. Godson, thanks for the honesty. It's not about gender at all. It can happen to anyone. Of course, it's not gender specific. Let me see some of the comments. The Western papers has made many blacks not marrying their soulmate. Chikuka, you're right. And this is another thing, unfortunately. Thank you for saying that, Chikuka. That's a very good point. The papers dilemma is crazy. It's prevented a lot of people from from bonding with their soulmate. It's destroyed a lot of lives, even families and relationships. The foundation of that relation is already shaky. The guy might not see her in that same light anymore because she wasn't there for him when he needed her the most. Thank you, Clara. But then, you see, I see what you mean. But then some would argue that she's not, like, she wasn't obligated to help him or in that regard, and she's got the right to have removed herself. So I see what you mean, though. I believe in doing my thing. Came to this country on my own, and I got my papers on my own. Not married, and I did not need anybody. Be honest with yourself and work for what you want. Hey, Jerry, fantastic, man. I'm happy for you. All right. But unfortunately, that's not the story of a lot of our people in our community, especially once you've migrated to the West and you probably came illegally and you're sitting on a framework of complexity. You came with the wrong visa. You've already breached several immigration rules and you're trapped in the shadow of the system. It's very hard, man. It's very hard, man. Believe that. So I personally know persons that came to the UK, for example, like with top level skills, right? A gentleman years ago came as a civil engineer, a top UK firm brought him from Nigeria, from Ogun State. He has a very good civil engineer, and civil engineers are highly sought for here. So that's on professional grounds. And within 3 years, bro, he was able to move over to becoming a permanent resident because it was a big organization. And at the time, immigration rules were a lot more accommodating compared with what he's saying now. So that person was able to transition and easily, based on the professional grounds, because he was working on top level projects, you know. So on those grounds, the organization, backed him, and then he was able to transition and then be able to adjust his status. But that's not the story for so many other people, as you would appreciate. Same thing happened to me. I did let her go and changed my number. I didn't contact her anymore, man. Yo, if you've been used, man, by persons, man, I empathize, sympathize, empathize with you, man. That's true. Different circumstances. You're right. Your education matters too, and in my case, I would say I was lucky to get the education that was needed. Nice one, Jerry, man. Same here. I've seen too many mess via marriage here, and I vowed not to do it unless it's for the right reasons. I did the journey on my own. You see, apart from the fact that one, and like I say this with all due respect. That's not to castigate anyone, put anyone down. Um, like I say, we're not here promoting sham marriage. Definitely not. I understand as a human being who has a degree of compassion in me, I can understand why people would consider unscrupulous reasons to try to sort themselves out. But I think your best option is if you join someone whereby you the basis of that relationship, sits on genuinity. It's genuine, right? It's not a sham marriage. It's the relationship is for real. Now it's up to that person if they want to take you on with your baggage. If he or she decides to take you on, bingo. But what I'm saying is you can sleep comfortably at night. If you file your application to the Home Office, to the Immigration Department of whatever country, at least you can sleep comfortably knowing fully well that, your application and everything you've put forward sits on nothing but the truth. And even if they have to do random spot checks on you, everything would check out well. Does that make sense? So, Michael and Angela, 90 days. Don't get me started with those ones, Audrey, man. Come on, man. No, that's for TV. That's reality TV, man. Hit the like button, man. There's about 360 people watching. Hit the like button. So, yeah. Let me see. If anyone knows a US-based man who is single, based 27 to 47, who is looking for a wife, next time we're on this live chat, let me know. I'm 33, single, unmarried, and no children. Z. You guys are trying to turn my platform to some connect. Let's see. True, but I've seen it started genuinely. But sometimes when one has that power over another, it can go left. Thank you for saying that. Avery, is it Avery Thomas? That's another point that I should mention, right? You made a very important point there. Another thing that's common, sadly, in our community is, unfortunately, certain persons, they will adopt you and say, "Oh yeah, I'll help you," and blah blah blah. And then whilst you're waiting, whilst the other partner is waiting, male or female, you're waiting for maybe the UK, immigration department to sort out your application. It's been, it's known for some partners to basically take advantage of the situation, right? And to weaponize that and subject you to emotional blackmail and misbehave. And even in some, I've heard a couple of stories where a partner, as soon as they have argument, uh, the other partner will be threatening to sort of put an end to the pending application, threatening to call immigration and tell them that I'm going to pull out of the whole process and leave you hanging. It's like people get a buzz off that. To me, that's evil. It's plainly evil. It's toxic. If you have to keep weaponizing, it's the same thing with people that bring partners. It's similar from overseas. I brought you here. I gave you this. I believe in appreciation, right? But I shouldn't thank you for life that you gave me papers. Does that make sense? I should show appreciation. I would always be grateful. And it's nice when these appreciations come organically, when they flow naturally. Maybe it's your wedding anniversary, maybe it's your birthday, maybe it's the anniversary of our relationship, and I bring it up. Even you are surprised. Or there's like a room, full of friends and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Then yeah, but Don't hang it over people's heads and weaponize it and belittle them, make them feel like trash. Like, without me, you wouldn't have been in the UK or the US or Germany or whatever, That to me is just wrong. That's emotional abuse. That's very common, man. And it's why some men and women, some men, bring their partners, and you think you have the right to cage them, to tell them who to be friends with, to tell them where the wind blows from, to tell them how to move, and to even want to control their salaries and stuff like that, which is toxic. The same thing with women. So it's crazy. Let me see. Somebody said something earlier. Hey Franklin, did you put out anything on your podcast yet? Last time I checked, nothing yet. Love. The Phrankleen podcast. Go and check it on StreamYard or anchor.fm/Franklin. All right. There's an episode that was uploaded a few days ago on there. Go and listen to it. All right. Another one's gonna go out this week. Okay. The podcast is live. Go into Spotify, Google Podcast, type in the Phrankleen Podcast, the way my name is spelled on my channel, or go on anchor.fm/Franklin. All right, you'll find it. Let me see any more comments, any questions. People assume all us outside, the West want papers to get in. I met a guy while on holiday. I assumed my aim is to cross over. I was put off. I have a fantastic life in Africa. I'd only move for love. Tanya, that's a very good point. Thank you for saying that. Do you know what, yeah? Somebody said, how about Spotify? Spotify is a platform, is an app for streaming music. If you go into Spotify and search the Phrankleen Podcast, you'll be able to listen to my podcast, all right? I hope that helps. I love what you said, Tanya. People assume all people outside the West want papers to get in. I met a guy while on holiday, assumed my aim is to cross over. I was put off. I have a fantastic life in Africa. You see, sadly, the truth is, to respond to that, yeah? Sadly, I've got to tell you the truth. There's a huge amount of people outside the West that desperately want to get into the West. That's a fact, okay? That's a common knowledge. You don't even need me to tell you that. But unfortunately, because there's a high number of people that desperately want to come into the West. So, however beautiful, however accomplished, except if you're like a top band earner, whereby the person coming from the West can see that you are well off, like you come from a good, like an affluential family, a wealthy family, that like they can see that you are balling in your own regard. Then they might roll back like, okay, she's a big girl or he's a big guy. Do you know what I mean? So, it's because and all of this is rooted in poverty. You dig? So, because being in the West doesn't exactly mean you're comfortable. And like you rightly said, I can attest to that myself. There are loads of people in Africa that are living fantastic lives, better than a lot of us in the West. That's a fact. That's a fact. But of course, there's heightened, poverty. There's heightened unemployment, sadly, across the motherland. So, which basically has spiked the desperation, and that's why, again, it's just a bit of arrogance on the path of most of us, most of us that live in the West. I'll be honest, it's arrogance, because for some people that live in the West, can I be honest? For some of us that live in the West, let me be honest, yeah. There's a lot of people that live in the West. Take their papers, put it aside. They have nothing to bring to the table. Don't be fooled. Trust me, they're bargaining chip. The only flex, and that's not to put anybody down. Those, especially those that bang on about it. I will bring you abroad. I will, people that bang on about it too much. Once you separate them from the said papers, trust me, Annie. Thank you, Annie. I appreciate you. Once you separate them from the papers, there's nothing. There is nothing. Do you know, I'm going to say one more thing, right? I'm going to say one more thing. Did you know that there are some people, especially if they're in a certain age band and they're desperate to settle down. It's a game. They might have painted the town red in the West. If it's a female, want to fall in, want to break, they might have painted the town red. They're desperate, they're looking for a partner. So when they go back home, they know that you're already sucked in by inferiority complex. Because you're looking at the person from the West that, oh, they might, you have managed, you back home have managed to build you have a preconceived notion that the person coming from the West was definitely up there. They're doing very, very well. Their bargaining chip is their permanent residency in the West. But because you are behind the wall, you're outside of the West, you don't have a clue. So they use that. Their families back home, they brag about that. They flex their muscles like, oh, our son lives in the UK, our daughter lives in the US. But basically, the personality that they are selling to you, the person is actually basic. But you buy into the whole thing blown out of proportion. You don't really dig too deep. You're bamboozled, right? In fact, I've seen this. I'll tell you a quick story where the woman knew the man back in Africa was doing very well. Dude was into real estate. He was making good money. He was doing well. But also, like most of our brothers and sisters back home, the brother was westernized. He was doing well. He still desperately wanted to come abroad. He met this lady. He thought it was an opportunity of a lifetime. So he was just, yeah. You know, that's the kind of quickly falling in love type of thing. The lady was desperately looking for a husband. She was basic here in the West. Basic here in the West. Went home. The only thing she had to bring to the table was, I'm a British citizen. You're working here as a carer. I'm not knocking you for working as a carer. Big deal, right? The brother fell down the slippery slope, right? Because why? He also wants to go abroad. Now, the lady knows that she can't match you financially over there in terms of what you've built for yourself. She knows that she's basic as hell in the West. She probably bought a couple of flight tickets on a credit card. She had to do overtime to pay them off. That's the reality of the Western life. Nobody's been knocked here, but that's facts, right? At least for a lot of people. Now, imagine her telling the brother, I'm going to file for you. I love you, baby. Blah, de, blah, de, blah. You know, you're allowed to slide into the sugar wells as often as possible. You know, yeah, everything is all yummy and stuff. You're signing the papers here and there. You believe you're going to the West. So the woman, the bargaining chip is her passport from the West. She snatches the man from within his jurisdiction that he knows better. The man migrates to the West. She gets him to sell some of his assets and stuff. He gives up his streams of income because he's under a false impression that the West is better. Then he moves in with the woman in the West. Then he soon realizes that he's already a fully grown man. In order to be able to navigate within the Western system, you have to, more than likely for most people, start from the bottom. At that point, maybe you're like 42 now. And then you get here and you're like, I want to hit the ground running. And then you realize that because you got zero background in here, there's a cultural shock, massive cultural difference. You ain't got no clue. What is it that you can do? You get sucked into the Western system. And then the lady then starts to say, baby, look, this is London. London is a leveler. This is United Kingdom. This is America. You have to get your hands on, whatever it is, you can do. A man has to hit the ground running. The man is like, gunshot. Me, like, whoa, I'm getting like, yeah. And then what happens is People, third parties start to advise you that, hey, bro, look, man, at least for now, whatever it is you can do, this is probably someone back home that has a driver rolling him about in the motherland. He had a nice bank account, things going for him. So now the woman is saying, but baby, you can't. You are the man of the house. You can't be at home. I'm going to work as a woman. And then you're sitting down. You expect me to come home and open my legs. Yeah, 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 yeah. 3 months into the life in the UK argument is already banging your head open. So the brother is forced into a tight corner. He then has to go and file for his SIA license. Has to start working as a security guard, start looking after the doors of a retail store, parking baskets, checking for people trying to run out of the store. This is a guy that was into real estate back home, but because of the desperation for the abroad life, he has been trapped. Bear in mind, the woman filed for him. More than likely, he has a spousal visa. And he must show to be functional in the Western system because nobody gives a toss about you in the West. So he's trapped. And what that entrapment does is it triggers mountain of anger, a volcano of anger every now and again, because it will batter your ego. You're coming from a place where you were balling. You were driving a lovely 4x4. You were flexing. You could put on your native and hard and move your car keys. You have a little 5 million naira. And that woman would make sure that a chunk of that money, you wire that money here to pay the bills here in the UK. Because why? She will whip you to the ground with emotional abuse. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. This is the story of a lot of people. And then by that time, because you're a spouse, you've just landed. You usually have within the first 3 to 4, 5 months of honeymoon period. During that time, the woman would have offered you abundance of access to the sugar walls. You'd have bust the sugar walls as often as possible. Under the duvet, on the couch, bust through the window before she touches the ground, back upstairs. What I'm saying is, more than likely get pregnant. The woman now has what she wants. All right? Before you find your bearings, a child lands. Responsibility. There's pressure on you. Her friend, extended family, cousins, everybody's got opinion. But Mr. Mike, your woman has tried very well to bring you to the UK. You have to, sir. Look, Mr. Mike. I know what you're saying, but this is not Nigeria, for God's sake. You have to get out there as a man. You have to get out there as a man. You're a man. You have to get out there as a man and do what it is for your family. Everybody and your mom has got opinion, pointing fingers at you. What do? You are cornered. You have a spousal visa. And then you got a bit of a stretch to adjust that before you can become a permanent resident. So because you have zero background here, you might not even have much of an educational background and all that stuff. Thank you, man, for the super chat. You get whatever it is you can, and then you start. And then by the time you realize that you married a basic woman, it's too late. Everything that I've just told you, flip the script. It's not gender specific. I've seen women, they were doing well with business back home. They see a guy, Fawaraja, fine boy, looking nice, melanin dripping, comes with half-baked British accent or American accent. They see the blue passport. They see the red passport. The vagina starts to leak. They start to say, oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Heavenly Father. My prayers have been answered. And then before you know, the brother meets your family. Most of the time, they're bamboozled because of poverty-stricken mentality. They'll be the one to push you and say, that's the man of your dreams. He will file for you. It will take you abroad. Unfortunately, because of how destabilized things are in Africa, we see somebody filing for you, bringing you abroad as an achievement of a lifetime. Like I said, I'm not saying your life couldn't be upgraded, but for the most part, you wouldn't even know if the man filing for you is actually working as a security guard back in the UK. But he comes home, he's flexing, he's fresh, he's got his iPhone 11, he has the, yo, man, what you saying, man? What's going on, man? You know, everybody respects me at work, man. I'm the manager, man. And then you two are like, oh my God, my baby. Right? Then, in fact, before your spousal visa goes through, the brother would make sure, because you already have inferiority complex in you. You know, you put him on a pedestal. It's the guy from abroad. These things happen. You bust the legs wide open. He trashes into the sugar walls, man. He leaves it in there. You're already even pregnant before you get on the plane. By the time you get here, you have your baby in a nice, clean hospital in the UK. You are loving it. Before you wake up from your slumber, for most people, the second child might have landed. You're pushing your pushchair around, and then you realize that before the first child even starts to hold the table and start to walk by themselves, the second child, the second baby has landed. Before you get your bearings, you're trapped. Then you realize that the man that excavated you, imported you into this place from Africa, is actually a basic man. And then when you land, that's when you realize, what do you do for a living? And then you realize he's a security guard. Then you realize he has mountain of debt that you knew nothing about. Then you realize that his disposable income, after paying his credit card, his rent, his council tax, he barely has £300 left in a month. You're pregnant. You have a child. You don't even have an income. And you're snookered. Welcome to life abroad. And then when you try to talk, guess what? He or she would tell you, I brought you abroad. I filed for you. I brought you into this country. You are snookered. So why am I telling these stories? The framework, the basis of a lot of this, if you realize, it's deeply rooted in poverty. It's poverty, man. Because as long as, back home, when we see traveling abroad, somebody filing for me, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't be, thank you, Africa, the gathering place. UK normally goes 10 years, whereas US is still 5 years. Go talk Bawi. Falu. With the current UK immigration system right now, fam, it's not a joke, man. This is the story of so many people. You and I know, man. Look at me. I'm just wearing a hoodie, right? This is a Phrankleen hoodie, right? I'm just, if I go to, you and I know, if I go to Nigeria, I'm just wearing this and a jogging bottom, right? And I'm wearing a pair of trainers, right? If I go home now, yo, what's going on, man? Hi, can I have a bottle of Coke? But can I have a bottle of Coke? And I'm saying, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? And I'm just having a conversation with Liz. You see what I'm just wearing? Just this. The girl's mom, who owns the shop, is already like, talk to him. Hello, sir. You're so handsome. Why? Because in their head, they've immediately seen me as a ticket to the top for their daughter. But over here, I may just be a basic guy. I'm over there, I'm flexing. Yo, man. Yo, what's up, baby? Yo, what's going on, baby? Yo, what's up, man? Oh, my God, this guy is so fine. He take me to the UK. Then maybe she gets here and she finds out that, I've got two baby mothers and I've got four children here, one over there, and I'm like a crap guy. Yeah. This is the story of a lot of people, man. And so when you then get into the system, it's natural. And then your eyes start to open after some time. You be like, wow. Boy, Sherini, so this is, my God, I've been scammed. It's too late now, right? And then families in the background supporting the person would even make it worse for you because they call you ungrateful, they call you selfish, every name in the book, all right? Whilst you're dealing with that, then you look at them, then you soon realize that, wow, you're trapped. I had met a woman once that watches my channel, right? Hand on my heart, no word of lie. And the woman said, Phrankleen, I can't even tell you how I managed to give back to 3 children. Like, before I knew what was happening, I was already neck deep into the whole thing. She told me she had a bakery business. She was making bread back in Nigeria. She had 5 employees. She was bamboozled because she thought she was going abroad. This man made her empty her savings, even used some of her savings to buy himself a car here in the name of, we need a better car so I can be moving you and the kids around. Dude was just flexing, man. Now she's in a bad place. They got 3 kids. She can't advance academically. She's old. She hasn't got that much of a strong educational background anyway. She has a long way to go in terms of adjusting her papers. He's then weaponizing that, oh, I'm going to make sure I sabotage your papers. And then I think eventually he moved out. He just suddenly abandoned her with 3 children. And also, there's also, on the flip side of that, women who they will then bring you here, and then you realize that she ain't shit. And then then the true color comes out, and then the man is wrestling, trying to like, yo, I don't want this, blah, 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 blah. Then he pulls out the Western card and he forces you into a corner. Believe me, man. And some women get really vindictive and then put immigration on your tail, the police, and make false allegation, take you to the cleaners, absolutely run you to the ground, man. So, yeah, that film, Anchor Baby, man, that Anchor Baby was crazy. So it's the truth, man. So all of these papers. Like, that's why the reason I'm tying this story into a lot of these things that are shaping our minds about papers. I respect people being apprehensive, but at the same time, all of these things, man, they're deeply rooted in poverty, toxicity, and all of that. There's so many people with papers that they ain't shit, man. Like, I would like to speak on this as an African American that has married a Nigerian. Oh boy, girl, you're gonna have to join me on a different episode for that one. Please don't blame the guy. It's desperate single women who have bought so many men. So now expect it. I even have 2 sisters and 2 female cousins who did just that. It's very prevalent. Wow. No, I don't. May. It was in May. Unfortunately, you can't call in today. But please, if you want to share your story, May, send me an email to foodchannel1960@gmail.com, all right? I don't mind bringing you on the show. Let's talk about it, okay? I can do the live stream where you can come, and you don't have to even show your face. You know, you can call yourself Angel May. You don't have to show your face. Tell your story, let people listen, and people can also join the call, man. So if you love someone, you want to help them, help them. If your heart doesn't go with it, fair enough. But don't treat people differently just because they haven't got papers. That's all I'm saying. My friend's sister married a Nigerian for love, and she gave him gave him papers, and now after one kid, he left her after he got the paper. Here is one thing. Let me clear something up. Let me clear something up. There is also one thing. It's important that I say this before we go, yeah? I've also seen this, okay? Let's imagine that both of you already have your permanent residences, right? Let's say you're British, she's British, okay? If people are going to split up, they will split up. If somebody is going to behave like a twat, they will behave like a twat. If somebody is going to cheat on you, they will cheat on you regardless of papers. One thing that I see that's very common is, so you met someone, the going was good, you gave them papers, right? Great. Maybe 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line, something totally unconnected to papers or no papers led to the relationship crashing. People always find a way to tell the story that, oh, after he got his papers, he dumped her. After she got her papers, she dumped him. No. And that's the beat that I have a problem with, that people expect you to remain eternally indebted to that person. I've heard a couple where the man was violent, beating up the lady, cracked her mouth open, and she was going to leave him. And even some of her family members were saying, you can't do that. You're very selfish. He gave you your papers. Wait, what? I've also heard a story of a brother where he caught his woman, another man was laying his wood more than the pencil factory into his woman, right? And then when he challenged her about her accepting the wood from the other man, some of our family and friends came in a defense that, oh, you cannot be that brutal and get rid of her because at the end of the day, she got you your papers. Do you see what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. So it's about striking the balance, man. Somebody said, I waited 12 years before I got my papers because I did not want to use someone to get papers. People just need to have patience. People don't value marriage anymore. House of Coffee, man. Yeah, And here's another thing. In light of what that person said, right? Because some people battled for so long to get something, right? Because some people battled for so long, like that person said that they waited for 12 years. That's more than a decade to get their papers. So they become vindictive. They can't, look, let me tell you, man, that's why you get some spouses get jealous. People get pointlessly jealous of other people, and they feel the need that because they've suffered to get something, they become vindictive. They want everybody else to go through the same hell. Does that make sense? I've even seen this whereby some people, just because you've waited 10 years, as an example, they start to think, okay, so if I get married to you, you're going to get your papers in about 2 or 3 years. Nah, man. They think you are having it easy. I've seen it. And it's a very toxic mindset. Big deal. That's your journey. That's your story. But it shouldn't be the case for everyone else. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. There are people that, oh yeah, I waited 14 years to get my status in the UK. So if I get married to you, even when there is no evidence that the other person is going to be unscrupulous, or if I get married to you, oh yeah, you're just going to get it like that. Nah, man, it's too easy. Why? So that happens as well. Testimony time. Phrankleen banging sugar wells left, right, and center, man. Every human being, come on, man. If you're a man, on this live stream, you've more than likely found yourself sliding into sugar walls, man. That's sugar walls is just a keyword that I love to use. It's an adult stuff, man. You know, and if you're a woman, you've been involved in the acceptance of wood being laid and all of that stuff. Yes. House of Coffee, what's your testimony? 20 years, however, I've told myself if the universe direct me to help someone, I'll have no expectations because that's how people get hurt and disappointed. I like that, Avery Thomas. But unfortunately, it's not the case for a lot of people, man. Bijou. Blame more wood than the pencil factory. Let me see any more comments. So that's me done, guys. It's another wonderful session. If you want to send me your stories, send your stories to Food Channel 1960. Hit the like button, man. Before I forget, smash that like button, please. Send your stories to Food Channel 1960 at gmail.com. If you want to support my channel, thank you for the super chat. The pound sterling sign, Phrankleen, at Cash App, and then look in the description for the support via. You can join my Patreon, monthly Patreon, at from as little as £3 or $3 a month. That's the price of like a cappuccino or something like that, man. T. Kelly, Common Sense Sisters, thank you for your contributions. Bang out your stories to me, man. I want to get your stories. And Food Channel 1960, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the comments. And I will definitely catch you in the very next one, man. Peace out.